we got some awesome news here. We actually, me and you haven't talked about this yet, but I know I was geeking out about it when I saw this posted a few days ago here. JJ Abrams, as we've known, has had a deal with Warner Brothers for months. Has it almost been a year? It's been several months.
It's been almost a year.
Okay, almost a year. A very long time to develop stuff for Warner Brothers. We actually speculated on it on the podcast very early on, and I believe on actual episodes of Variant, talking about what is he possibly going to do? Is he going to be the Feige for the DCEU? Right. What is his role going to be for Warner Brothers? Because you don't get a guy like JJ Abrams, who's, pretty much, or is like one of the biggest blockbuster directors in all of Hollywood for like the last decade here now, you know what I mean? To make this big, huge deal and give him something stupid, right? You're going to give him a massive franchise. So we were all assuming maybe it's DCEU, maybe something DC. And it seems like we were kind of right in a weird sense. I guess maybe not the DCEU, but it's been confirmed that JJ Abrams will be developing a Justice League Dark series for HBO Max.
Yes.
And can I just tell you something? I am so excited. I have no words. This is awesome. I will say I'm not as excited as I was for Del Toro to be doing a movie, because I think he would have nailed. I feel like that is totally his wheelhouse. Like he would have hit that out of the park. That monster, horror type genre, which he did with like Hellboy. That's just his style. Right. Like I feel like Del Toro would have been amazing with that. But JJ Abrams is like kind of like the blockbuster king in recent years, right? So I think he's a big nerd too. He's a big nerd. Yeah. So I think he will do really, really well with this. Say what you will about, the 2 Star Wars movies he did. I don't necessarily blame that all on him, especially Rise of Skywalker. That was a lot of Lucasfilm and other people's behind the scenes. So much so that we even got on the internet, like released the Abrams cut, where he wasn't allowed to do his vision because he left for the second one. Things got changed, so there was only so much Band-Aids he could put on that wound, so to speak. So I love J.J. Abrams. I'm a big fan of him as just a filmmaker in general. So I'm very excited to see what he's going to do with Justice League Dark. Because Justice League Dark is such a unique take on the Justice League. It's literally dealing with all the mystics and horror characters in the DC universe, and then making them a team to save the world from spells and demons and all that kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah. And for me, from my perspective, this was kind of confirmation of what we speculated at the time when he got that massive, reportedly $500 million deal.
For Bad Robot, right?
To partner Bad Robot to partner with Warner Brothers and to have an exclusive deal. Essentially, it was to get JJ Abrams in-house. That's really what it was.
They were baiting him.
No, really. I mean, it was just to get him creatively in-house. There was a lot of speculation about what he was being brought in to do. And from the comic community, the timing of it was the big, catalyst for everyone speculating that, he's being brought in to fix the DC cinematic world. Because again, this was right at the heart of where there was just a ton of disruption and question marks about where DC was headed, and they were moving away from certain things and starting others. And so there was a ton of speculation. And for me, this is confirmation that one of the big things, it's not the only thing, because he is developing other things as well. Other properties, like he's doing a Shining series and things like that.
Yes,
which is
I'm
also
excited for that one too.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah.
But he one of the big things that they're going to have him doing is acting as at least one of, if not the steering arm for what is going on on the DC side of things. And because when we did our movies and characters or group or teams that you would like to see get a TV series or a movies, the Justice League Dark was on my list. That was one of the ones that I mentioned. I am so stoked about this. They've toyed around with this possibly happening, then it is happening, then it's not happening for a few years now. But not only is it moving forward, but it's moving forward with one of the better producers in Hollywood, who is also a major nerd. And to your point about Star Wars and his association with Star Wars, there's a lot that you can say there. I think it's kind of a moot point because it's a totally different franchise. It's a totally different storylines, totally different situation. And he's starting this from scratch. But he's a great blockbuster director and producer. People don't realize how big of a producer he actually is. I would say he's probably a more prolific producer than he is a director.
Especially in TV.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
developed so many TV shows.
Television, movies. I mean, his Bad Robot production company has done just a ridiculous amount of content.
No, just to go off that, I was more geeking out too, and I'm like, because I've never really seen any of his stuff that's been dark, like Justice League dark, right? Because obviously it's it's not an evil version of the Justice League. They're not evil at all. They're still heroes, but it's like the Halloween version of the Justice League, if you will, where again it deals with all the characters that are mystical and horror-esque and stuff like that, but are still heroes and good, like Constantine, Swamp Thing, and so on and so forth. So I'm curious to see how he's going to deal with that tone, because he seems more of like the popcorn fun blockbuster guy. You know what I mean? So I'm curious to see what he's going to do with this tone. But I feel like most of the time, it's the people you wouldn't expect to be good at like that certain genre who don't normally do that genre. Like the Russo brothers are a perfect example, right? They were known as the comedy guys, right? They did a lot of comedic stuff. Then they freaking give us like Winter Soldier, like out the gate. I was like, what? Yeah. Like it's one of the greatest action movies of like all time. Oh, okay. Good for you, Russos. Yeah. And then they go on to basically do the best movies in the MCU, period. So I'm very curious to see, what JJ Abrams is going to bring to this as well. And then the nerdy side of me is like, well, what is the team going to do? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. What obviously you would imagine like Constantine, Madame Xanadu, hopefully Swamp Thing, Etrigan. I want Etrigan so bad.
That's what I was about to say, dude.
If we don't get him, I think a tear will shed from my eye orbs.
For me, it's going to be kind of like if they kill Daryl, we riot. It's going to be the same thing for if they leave Etrigan out of this series, I riot. Like that dude, because I think it's obvious you're going to get Constantine, right? You're going to get Constantine for sure, but Etrigan is not necessarily a guarantee. However, it should be.
Gone, the form of man, rise the demon Etrigan.
That's right, come
man.
On. That's right.
He's some of my favorite episodes for Batman the Animated Series. Yes! I don't want to go down the Batman. Yeah, I don't want to go down that. Me with Batman the Animated Series, but he has some of the best episodes in that series. It's just so cool.
I'm with you 100%. This is easily one of the most exciting comic, film, TV related news that's come out in a while for me. I'm really very curious to see how this continues to develop. I don't think JJ Abrams is going to probably direct the series. He might direct 1 or 2 episodes. He's more likely going to be the producer on the series and the writer or co-writer and the main executive producer that develops it.
I was thinking showrunner, right? Probably showrunner.
Maybe. I think that I don't know. We'll have to see because they're being very vague of what exactly his role is. Right now, it seems very much that he's operating in a creative development way for Warner Brothers, where he's kind of steering things and putting things in place, bringing kind of like a Kevin Feige, where he's bringing in the directors that he wants, and he's saying, this is the direction we're going to go, and these are the stories that we want to focus on, and that sort of a thing. So it's kind of seeming like that's the capacity in which he's operating for Warner Brothers currently. Yeah. But again, he's also he's a monster director, and so he can operate in that capacity too. So we'll just have to see. But I mean, the fact that we have a real quality talent there that's going to be steering this and making sure this actually comes to life. Oh, dude. I'm getting the goose pimples.
Yeah, I'm very curious because we also know we're getting a Green Lantern series for HBO Max. So I'm wondering how these all are going to tie together. Mm-hmm. Are they going to tie together? And more importantly, are they going to be connected to the movies, just like Marvel's doing with Disney Plus and their MCU? So I'm very, very curious to see what the synergy is going to be because DC's kind of just been they're like, oh, Wonder Woman is really good. We'll do another one. Shazam made a lot of money. We'll do another one. Aquaman made $1 billion. We'll do another one. But they haven't been connecting any of them really after the fact. So I'm curious to see what it's going to look like for this HBO DC verse, so to speak.
The interesting thing about having JJ Abrams there, to what you're saying, is that he can, possibly begin to convince and pitch a specific course and direction, and even a continuity between the TV series and the films to Warner Brothers. And he can begin to develop that and bring that into some sort of continuity and to where it's coherent and that sort of a thing. I mean, maybe not. Maybe they continue to do just their piecemeal situation. But having him there, that definitely improves the chances that we're going to get more cohesive a more cohesive flow of storylines.
Very, very cool. Speaking of the DCU, I want to touch on this briefly. This actually isn't even one of the topics we're going to talk about today, but this reminded me of something. Did you see the rumor? Now, this is a rumor, hardcore rumor. Take this with a grain of salt. But there is a rumor going around. I don't even know the source. So again, take this with a grain of salt. That the Flashpoint movie that we're supposed to get, which we don't know when now, but the Ezra Miller Flashpoint movie, is basically going to rewrite Batman into the DCEU, so much so that the Matt Reeves movie, like Robert Pattinson, we would see him in that movie, and that's how they would explain the new younger Batman in the DCEU. How crazy would that be?
That would be crazy, although not shocking. I think we even touched on that possibility in the past.
It makes the most sense. It's like, if they do that, it's like, yes, do that. Why wouldn't you do that? I feel like that would be the biggest missed opportunity in the world if you didn't do that.
Yeah.
Because that's literally what the comic book did. At the end of the Flashpoint storyline, we got the new 52 and the new 52 Batman and Superman. So it literally gave us that new version of every character. So why not do that with the movie? It's already been proven successful.
Yeah.
Just do it.
And if JJ Abrams is working on the Flash film from a development or a producer standpoint, JJ Abrams and Matt Reeves are very close friends. So
that's true.
all of these things, that's what I mean when I say, him being there in this capacity and operating in this, executive producer, creative development role for Warner Brothers, it dramatically, especially now that we have like really high end, like quality storytellers like Matt Reeves are coming into the fold.
Am I right in saying that Matt Reeves was the protege of JJ Abrams? Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Did they kind of?
That's right.
Okay,
I wouldn't say that he was a direct mentor, in that sense, but in a lot of ways, he did act in that role for Matt Reeves. But
I do
they're
remember
very
reading
close.
or hearing that. Yeah,
they're very
awesome.
close, very good friends. So it definitely, just him being there and having quality storytellers like Matt Reeves coming into the fold. This is really starting to look like behind the scenes they're forming kind of a core group that is going to start to create a cohesive continuity for the DC cinematic and live action, universe.